And I will click my got it here.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the PRSA College of Fellows Voices for the Future series. I'm Margaret Ann Hennen, a member of the college, and with me today is Judy Phair, APR, fellow PRSA, who was inducted into the college in 1994. Judy, you have served PRSA and the College of Fellows in so many, many ways, including as chair of both PRSA and of the college. You've probably served on every committee in both of those groups, at least once, maybe twice. And I had the privilege of being part of the board when you were chair and part of the leadership team of College of Fellows when you chaired the fellows. So we've known each other a long time, and I have always admired you personally as well as professionally. And I thank you so much for being with us today. But today we're going to focus not on your PRSA service, but on your exemplary public relations career and the highlights of some of that career that you are most proud of and that you would like to share with us. So take it away.
Well, thank you, Margaret Ann. It is such a pleasure to be with you today, and especially a pleasure to be talking with a program that is sponsored by the College of Fellows, which is one of the wonderful parts of my professional and personal life with PRSA. And let me reflect a bit on my career and some of the things that I found challenging and exciting, and ways in which I hope I helped to make a difference for our profession. I began actually my career as a newspaper reporter, hadn't decided whether I wanted public relations or journalism, and the journalism opportunity came first. And then actually from there had an opportunity for a PR job, which sounded attractive and exciting. And it was actually for a university, University of Cincinnati, and where I had moved as part of my spouse's professional changes. And actually, that was my introduction to what became the better part of my career, working for nonprofits and colleges and universities in the public relations area. And so my examples will come very much from that nonprofit side. And the thing that comes most to mind when I think about a crisis and a challenge and an opportunity, I spent about 10 years at Goucher College here I live in the DC suburbs, so the Maryland suburbs of DC, and lived in Baltimore at the time. Had worked for a corporation and had an offer to lead the public relations office, which at that time was a two-person office. So we did everything. And during the time I was there, we went through a lot of growth. And in terms of my office, we expanded enormously. And we also faced one of the greatest challenges I think I faced in my career in terms of the crisis that affected us. We were a university, Goucher, very strong university, strong reputation, and strong reputation as a women's college. And just parenthetically, I attended a women's college, different women's college. So I was a very big believer in women's education. However, we were in a situation, financial situation, a recruitment situation, and a board situation where the writing was on the wall, to coin a phrase, because we were not going to be able to survive the way we wanted to survive, to have the kind of students we wanted to have if we remained single sex. We did a lot of survey research. We were part of many meetings with other colleges and universities. This was something we finally decided we had to do. It was a tough board vote to make the decision to consider it for a year. And then our job, my job as head of public relations, was to go out with the president around the country and meet with alumni and talk about what the change would mean and try to gain support for that change. Obviously, financial situations are critical, and alumni donations are critical. Also, media coverage, an important part of that. During that time period, we had a lot of people who were very unhappy with us. We had students who were unhappy. We had faculty who were unhappy. We had alumni who were sort of hostile at some of these meetings. But we developed a strategy, a communication strategy. I was in charge of that, which is a wonderful opportunity to really work with all those groups and to see throughout that whole process how important it was to lead, but also to listen. And listening is such an important part of the public relations process. To listen, to respect throughout the entire process, to emphasize ethics. We did not mislead. We were open with our information. We felt we needed to be if we were going to be trusted. So these were all such critical elements in this situation. And right up until the day when the board took its meeting, and I will always remember this because we had media from everywhere outside the board chambers. We had students, it was a Saturday, we had students protesting. We had alumni who were very upset. The board took its vote. The media were waiting, and I was all ready. I left the boardroom, headed to the room where we were having the media. Students were gathered outside protesting. I invited the students into the media conference, and that was my decision. Did it because I felt we would be in a worse situation from a media viewpoint and from the viewpoint of the kind of university we were if we kept them out. We did say, please respect what this is about, and we ask you to behave properly as you would as a respectable individual supporting your college and vying to express your concerns. It was a tough conference, tough media conference. We got through it, and we started to build on our relationships with students. We then set alumni a call-in that alums could call in. Again, our office arranged for alums to call in, express their opinions. And because we had people saying, I'm never going to give another cent to this institution. And what we got from that was alumni expressing their appreciation that we would listen to them. And in the end, there was not a single person who canceled a contribution. And we went on. I was there for a few more years and got to work through that. And we worked with, again, national media and with critical coverage, and we did it. That was one of those occasions where you just have to, in some ways, you've got a plan, but things happen and you have to change it accordingly. And I really learned, it reinforced for me the value of respect all around in the conduct of our profession, that we respect those who disagree with us and we listen to other voices, but we also carefully and ethically pursue what needs to be done. And so that's one example of a crisis. Another one in a different kind of organization, another organization I worked for, a nonprofit. I always called it a nonprofit with benefits, Graduate Management Admission Council, which still owns the GMAT exam, which is a very profitable venture, but we were a nonprofit. And during the time I was there, and I should mention, by the way, that from the Goucher experience, I got my first vice presidency. It's very exciting. As vice president at GMAC, suddenly there we were with an opportunity to expand internationally, especially in India and China. And so I was in charge of the campaign, working with the president and the rest of the team to travel internationally and promote and meet with media and make connections with media around the world. And that was very exciting and offered us great opportunities to promote the exam in those areas, to also illustrate how we were adapting to students in different countries. But it was quite an interesting move for the company, both on the business side, but also on the expansion of MBA education worldwide. So those were two things that kind of immediately occurred to me. And then, of course, on the volunteer side, PRSA, and my memories of my presidency of PRSA, and in particular, the challenges that we faced. And Margaret Ann, you were on the board. During the year that I was president of PRSA, first of all, I should track a little bit back. When I joined PRSA board, a few years prior to becoming president, we were in the midst, or about to become in the midst, of a great financial crisis. There had been a major problem with the PRSA Foundation, and it had essentially been bankrupted at that time. And PRSA had serious financial problems. So suddenly, all of us who came into the board at that period, a board that had traveled internationally, had done all kinds of exciting things, suddenly we had serious financial constraints. We had new leadership coming in, new business leadership, professional leadership, and we had challenges. And it was so exciting to work with a group of professionals, and including our decision to cancel a conference. And Margaret Ann, you were part of that. We were to have our annual conference in Florida, and we had we could have continued to have the conference, and which of course it would not have happened because the whole area ended up closing down. There was great concern about losing money because we were not going to have a conference. And we as a board made the decision to cancel the conference, refund, because we knew we did not want to put anyone in danger. And we ended up actually having a fantastic year because of the confidence that we were able to continue to build with our chapters, with our members around the nation, the exciting things we did I had the great pleasure during that presidency as well of being part of the beginnings, following on what Del Galloway, my predecessor, had started, of PRSA being a much more international organization. And had the great privilege during my year as presidency to travel to China, to lecture to students at the university in Beijing, to meet with students and faculty in Hong Kong and throughout China, and through Hong Kong and Singapore, to travel to India, to travel around the world, all on behalf of PRSA, all very exciting and really expanding our presence. We were enlisted by the U.S. State Department to work with them and go to Croatia, which was a new democracy at that point, and help them with their new Public Relations Association and take part in their first conference there. So those are the kinds of things that I remember.
Incredible, just incredible. And you are a fabulous representative across the world for public relations and for our profession. Judy, is there something that you would give to advice that you would give to someone who's considering at some point in their career to apply for the College of Fellows?
Oh, yes. I think one of the things, when you think about values and the things that are important and that are important to a public relations career, certainly it's important to be ambitious, but integrity, ethics, ambition are all part of the same package, as is continuing to learn. And to me, there is so much. When I think of ethics, excellence, learning, I think of College of Fellows. I applied for the College of Fellows as soon as I was eligible, as soon as I had 20 years that could count as full-time public relations work, primarily public relations. And I did that because I was so impressed. The college was relatively new at that point. It had been created to honor initially senior professionals for their great work, and quickly became something that recognized the excellence in the practice of public relations, and especially with senior public relations professionals. And I saw the work the college was doing and really got involved with that before I was on the PRSA board. Saw that as a way to continue to connect with professionals, and then what we could do for public relations education. And that to me was a very important part, and is a very important part of what we do in the College of Fellows. We continue to enable all of us to pursue education and to learn and to change. But we also are so involved with public relations education for undergraduate and graduate students. And I think our work in that area has also been so incredible. And we have been a strong voice, again, for ethics in our profession. We are seen as a strong voice for ethics, and we represent our profession to the public in the strongest and most positive way. And we do so much to support each other. And I think that, again, is something that is very important. You know, connections are a very important part of life. They're a very important part of public relations. And in my life in public relations, what has always impressed me so much, including in some of the crises and experiences I mentioned, well, I remember going through the experience at Goucher where I was very involved in my PRSA chapter, and my friends in PRSA who were in corporate, nonprofit, et cetera, all were great sources of advice and counsel. And I think we see this in the College of Fellows. If we're having a challenge in our work, in our community, we talk to each other, and we're advice and counsel, and we promote this profession.
Well, thank you, Judy. Thank you so, so much for being with us today and for that excellent advice. Ethical public relations is what we have always stood for at PRSA and the College of Fellows, and no one exemplifies that better than you do in all things you do. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for all of the contributions that you have made to both the college and to PRSA and to our profession.
We're part of a family, and we all rely on each other, and it is just wonderful to be a part of the College of Fellows.
Thank you, Judy.